Hi, I'm Phil. This is Phil with Phacts, and today we are making strawberries and cream bland. Yes, today we're making bland. Bland is a wine made with fermented whey, and today's is going to be strawberries. And I say cream because it's going to taste like a strawberries and cream like pop, but well, what is bland? Bland was a traditional Scottish drink introduced by the Vikings, and it really died down in the mid-20th century. It was never commercialized. However, it is a wine. However, it's a wine that's made from whey. Whey is a byproduct of milk. When you separate milk, you have curds and whey. The curds typically become cheese. The whey, if you ferment it, becomes bland. So it's a great use for something, especially if you're a cheesemaker or if that's a hobby of yours and you're not really sure what to do with all the extra whey. Bland. However, for our purposes, we're going to start flavoring it and seeing exactly what extremes we can make from it. I'm curious to see what flavors do what when you introduce them to bland, such as cherry chocolate. I'm sure other flavors will come along as well. I'm not going to go step by step on how to make whey in this video, but if you're curious, I have another video where I made bland step by step, including separating the milk from the curds and the whey. Yes, so we're making a strawberries and cream bland. What is that going to be? It's going to be a strawberry blend, and we're going to back sweeten it in secondary with either erythritol or possibly lactose or some other non-fermentable sugar. We'll get into that when it comes to secondary, but for now we're going to make a strawberry blend. What are we going to need? We're going to need 2 pounds, roughly, of frozen defrosted strawberries. I'm going to do 2 pounds of regular white sugar today. We have up to 1 gallon of whey, and then I'm using a 14% tolerance wine yeast. Before we get started, everything that's going to touch my brew today and end up in the final fermenting vessel has been sanitized. Get any food grade safe sanitizer you want. I prefer Star San, but anything that will sanitize your equipment is what you want to use. The only microbes you want in your brew are the ones you physically put in there, like the yeast. So, to get started, we're going to take our carboy. Today I'm using a 1 gallon wide mouth fermenter. We're going to tare it. Now, I'm aiming for this to be around a 12% bland because I'm going to want it to be sweet, but I also don't want it to have a very, very high alcohol kick. Once your sugar is all in, we're going to add the strawberries. Now, these are just frozen strawberries. If you want to use fresh, I'd recommend you still put them in a bag, freeze them overnight, and let them defrost. The whole freezing process really breaks up the strawberries and gets all the juices and sugars out and makes it more accessible for the yeast to get to. And once your sugar and strawberries are in, take it off the scale because you don't want to stress out your scale. We're now going to take our whey. Side note on whey, if you want to know how to make whey, I have another video that explains it. Now, why a blend and not just a wine, or why not turn it into a mead? If you take whey and you ferment it, it's bland. If it's water and honey, it would be mead. And if it's water and sugar, well, fruit and sugar, it's a wine. You really want to take your time and try to stir all that sugar in. And as you go, you could add more. It's just a little bit easier to stir it in with less liquid. You're only going to want to pour up until about where it starts to bow in the thing. You want to leave enough headroom that as this starts and goes up, it has a place to go. If you fill it all the way to the brim, it's going to shoot out of your airlock and make a giant mess. So you want to limit the headroom, but you still want to have enough. Alright, you want to keep mixing it. You want to make sure there's enough air getting into it. It's going to need some oxygen to really start those yeast up over the first few days. But once it's incorporated and you know there's no sugar laying around, we're going to take a reading. And just be careful with the strawberries. They tend to like to jam up the turkey baster. And once it starts floating, you can take a reading. It's a good thing we did. I think it's a little bit higher than I wanted, so we're going to add a little bit more, get a little greedy. Give it another good stir. Now there's a lot of juice, there's a lot of sugars in those strawberries as well, so don't be scared to make adjustments while you go. Perfect. So I'm going to put what that means ABV wise down here. But basically it means this is going to have a chance to go completely dry, which is what we want. And then once it goes dry, we'll rack it into a secondary fermentation vessel and we'll add a non-fermentable sugar to our comfort level of sweetness. So we have a very sweet strawberry blend. So I'm just going to give this one more stir. I'm going to add our yeast. Now, you really only need half a packet for 1 gallon. I'm adding a whole packet today because I like, especially now with the weather changing, I like to give my yeast all the benefits I can to burn through this as cleanly as possible. I want to form a nice colony. 1 packet will ferment up to 5 gallons of liquid. So if you're not making full 5 gallons, you can add a little bit less if you want to split this between 2 brews. However, I'm probably not brewing again in the next couple days. This is going to be open in my fridge. I'd rather just use it today and get it over with. Stir your yeast in. Once it's stirred in, we're just going to put on a lid, hit it with an airlock. Please put airlocks on your brews. It's the safest way to make sure that nothing gets in you don't want to get in. You took all this time to make the whey, defrost the ingredients, put everything together, take your readings. Why trip at the finish line? Get an airlock. They're not expensive. They're not hard to get. And basically what's going to happen is as the yeast come to work and create all these gases, they're going to come up, force their way through, and with that, nothing's going to be able to come back through the other way. So fruit flies, any microbes, anything you don't want in here that you've worked very hard to keep out of here, now can't get in. What you fill them with? I fill mine with the same sanitizer I dipped everything in. It's just another layer of protection. You can just use water if you want to just use water. You can use a cheap alcohol if you're not going to drink it. What you don't want to do is anything that you don't want in your brew. In case something happens, like the temperature changes, negative pressure, you don't want liquid to get back in here either, but it could potentially happen. So what you do is you put something in here that if a couple of drops get into your brew, it's fine. If you put in rubbing alcohol, that's terrible. It could hurt you. You don't want to do it. Stick with either sanitizer water, regular water, or a cheap spirit you're not going to drink. Now we're going to want to label this, and I'll see you guys at the final Phacts. And welcome to the final Phacts. So today, I showed you how to start a strawberries and cream blend, which is going to be a dry strawberry blend that we're going to backsweet in secondary. Let's make our label right now. So first you're going to do the name. Then you're going to want to put what the original gravity is. Followed by the date. And then what kind of yeast you used. It helps if you only keep 1 or 2 in your house at any given time. However, I tend to keep a bunch of different yeast in my house at any given time because for different brews, I prefer different yeasts and the different nuances they will create in my brew. However, I strongly recommend you get what you have access to. So I'll always tell you what the tolerance is of the yeast, but I might not always tell you what the brand is of the yeast because where I am from, I can get certain yeasts that maybe you can't, and vice versa. But I know you can go to any homebrew store and ask for a 14 tolerance wine yeast, and they will have a couple of varieties to choose from. So what are we going to do next? I'm going to put this away in a, I want to say warm, dark place, or a cool, dark place. Basically, you want it anywhere in the 60s, maybe 70s is good. If it's a little bit lower, it's okay. It's going to take a little bit longer. A little bit higher, again, it's okay, but you want it to be a consistent temperature no matter where you put it. And you don't want natural light to be able to get to it, at least not easily. Once it ferments out, I will see you guys again. For now, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this video, please leave them below. As well as, if you'd like to see more blends, meads, or wines, or ciders, anything like that, I'd be more than happy to play around. I answer all my comments. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, cheers.